A few weeks ago, Ulanzi got in touch with me and said they wanted to send out a video light for me to test. I accepted, and this was the light they sent. So after having tested out the product briefly and using it in a shoot, here are my thoughts and a quick overview of the product. While the full specifications are available for the product online, I'm just going to run you through a few of the quick specs that make this product so alluring. The main draw to me of this product is the fact that it is fully self-sufficient in the fact that it has a built-in battery, so I no longer have to find a power outlet or plug it in somewhere because the light will run on its own at max power for 75 minutes, and if you lower that down to a lower brightness, then it can last for up to 5 hours, I believe, at a lower percentage. It's also just really small. It's a very nice size and form factor, very easy to just chuck in a bag and take to a shoot. So the light itself is a 40-watt light, which is 20 watts less than the Godox SL60W that I usually use as my main key light. So I probably wouldn't replace my key light. However, I found that this light works really well as a fill light or as a backlight or an eye light or just basically anything to really accentuate your subject in a scene. So as you can see from this test shoot I filmed recently, I actually used the light to help create an anonymous interview setup. And so the light that you actually see around the subject's head was created using the Ulanzi light. Given how small and lightweight it is, it means that while obviously it's got the tripod mount underneath that you could use to mount it to any tripod or light stand that's compatible, you could even just pretty much gaffer tape this to anywhere and just kind of stick it in a corner, stick it on the ceiling, wherever you really need to stick it to in order to get a really interesting lighting setup that you might not be able to get with a slightly bigger or heavier light. So another feature that I've not really used myself very much, but I can see being very, very useful is the pre-programmed modes that have a bunch of different settings on them. So you've got things like faulty bulbs, you've got a strobe light, you've got an emergency light, you've got a candle flicker, you've got a TV, and there's a couple of other ones in there. And I find that that's really useful when you want to create a convincing scene and use actual lights rather than just relying on something like a TV, which might not get the power output that you want to create a convincing enough effect. So while Ulanzi did send me this light, that doesn't mean I'm not gonna talk about the stuff I didn't like so much. So the main thing I dislike is just the fan inside. Now I understand it needs a fan for cooling. However, if you're working on a scene where you need there to be complete silence, you may notice the fan in some of the audio. However, I think depending on the setup and depending what kind of mic system you're using, for example, the lav mic, if your light's slightly further away from your subject, you probably won't notice it. But if you're using a shotgun mic and the light is quite close to the frame, then you may hear it in the background a little bit. Now, at the end of the day, while it's not a perfect product, it is pretty damn good. And for $99.95 USD, it's not a bad piece of kit. For more information, you can check out the description where I've listed everything you need to know.